There's a lot to love about City Park in Denver. That fresh air, that smell of newly cut grass.
You just kind of like shake hands with the tree, and if it pokes you, it's probably some kind of spruce.
Though Kara McCallan's focus is on another of the park's many features.
So this is one of our earliest import trees from Europe.
The amateur arborist believes these trees can teach us a lot about the past and the present.
This particular tree was planted in 1916. It was actually a gift to the city of Denver.
This witch elm has quite its own story.
The thing that makes this tree really interesting is that it was planted from a scion, or a living sapling, from a tree that was growing off of Shakespeare's grave.
And while that celebrity tree may be of interest, the fact that there are trees here at all in Denver can also teach us something about history.
All this was just grass, because these were grasslands grazed by bison, and it was a much different aesthetic that was also much harsher and probably very difficult in terms of farmlands.
Settlers had to bring in these trees to make farming possible on the plains. Without them, the wind would just wipe out any crops in the area.
It's really difficult to farm if there's not trees to break the winds from just destroying your crops.
But bringing those trees here planted the seed for the future.
When you realize culturally how much trees impact really everything, so the design of neighborhoods, you can frame that through the trees that are there.
From environmental to economic, you only have to look at the trees in the neighborhoods not far from this park to learn another lesson.
So the way that we cultivate trees in our neighborhoods is also just as telling of economic issues as anything else.
She compared the trees in a place like Cherry Creek,
where you have these big, tall oak trees that wouldn't be able to grow in this environment, but people can take care of them,
to those in the Barnum neighborhood.
Conversely, in neighborhoods that have less economic development, you will either see no trees, or you'll see what you would call a weedy tree, a tree that grows like a weed, which can create a lot of structural problems because of how quickly they grow and how they can get into foundations and crack them. And the only difference is one is cheap and one is expensive.
From stories of the past to the situations of the present, wood and bark and branches and leaves can do their share of teaching.
So it's a little bit of learning from mistakes, but also knowing that you're part of what's here now and you have the option not to make them again.
In Denver, I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver 7.